Hello and welcome. I'm Jerry Skinner. Today I want to talk about the actor Robert Blake. After we did the video and before Robert Blake passed away, which he did in 2023, this lady called me and she said, "Are you the one that did the video on Robert Blake?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Well, Mr. Blake wants to talk to you. But here's the thing. I'm going to give you his phone number. And you can call him. But he's not going to answer. But he will call you back." So I called him and he didn't answer. In a few minutes he called me back. And he told me that he had watched my video and that I had treated him fair. He said that ever since the trial with Bonny Lee, things had gone awful bad for him. And I believed him. He said that through the years he had made millions of dollars. I have no doubt that he did, from all the movies and things that he was in, and also the TV show Beretta. He became world famous from that show and made tons of money out of it. So, and he said, "I gave a lot of people a lot of help." And he said, "Now that I need it, I'm not getting any." He had moved out of his high-priced studio apartment in Studio City. He had moved into LA and he was in a lot less expensive apartment. He said he was, excuse me, he said he was just trying to get by. And I believe it. I can't say that I felt sorry for him, but I can say that I certainly understood. Now I'm going to show you the video that we did that Robert Blake said we treated him fair. He didn't say we treated him good. He just said we was fair with him, and that's what we hope to be. Let's watch it. This is the Italian actor Robert Blake. He was born Michael James Gubitosi on 18 September 1933 in Nutley, New Jersey. His father, James Gubitosi, worked as a die setter for a can manufacturer. His mother was Elizabeth Kilfone Gubitosi. Robert had one older brother, also named James, who was 3 years older and born 1930. And one older sister, born 1932, named Giovanna. Everyone called her Joan. Robert's father and mother started a song and dance routine act in order to make money and began acting on the vaudeville stage. By 1936, when Robert was 3, they had created an act for the 3 kids. They called them the 3 Little Hillbillies. And by 1938, Robert's father had decided to move the family to Los Angeles, hoping to get the kids jobs as extras on the movies. It was hard times for the family, often sleeping in the car in order to save hotel bills. Finally, Robert's father found a job managing a hardware store. They began taking their 3 kids to every audition that they heard about. And in 1939, little Michael Gubitosi, as Robert was called then, was the only one that found work in the movie Bridal Suite with Annabelle and Robert Young. He was billed as Mickey Gubitosi. That same year, Michael will audition for the Little Rascals series and be accepted, replacing Eugene Porky Lee. He will continue with the Little Rascals until the series ends in 1944. appearing in some 40 shorts. He became one of the lead characters. His brother James and sister Joan often appeared as extras. In 1942, while still on the Little Rascals, he began calling himself Bobby Blake, and his character with the Little Rascals will become Mickey Blake. Bobby Blake will take time out from the Little Rascals to play the part of Tookie Stedman in Andy Hardy's Double Life. In 1942, while still doing the Little Rascals, Bobby Blake will star with Dan Dailey and Donna Reed. Blake will say years later that the first hug he ever got was from Donna Reed on the set of Moki. Although Bobby Blake was becoming a child movie star, his life was far from normal. According to Blake, he was abused by his parents, especially by his jealous, alcoholic father, who would often beat him for no reason and lock him in the closet for long periods of time. He'd be made to eat food off of the floor like a dog, he said. His passive mother gave him no support. His father would often have to be thrown off the set when Bobby was working. While all this terror at home was occurring, little Bobby Blake began playing as Little Beaver in Red Ryder westerns that starred Bill Elliott for Republic Pictures. He started in 1944, right after the Little Rascals series ended, and will continue as Little Beaver for 23 full-length movies until 1947. After Little Beaver, Blake played a Mexican boy who gets a glass of water thrown in his face by Humphrey Bogart in 1948's Sierra Madre. In 1949, at the age of 16, Bobby Blake decides that he has had enough abuse at home and leaves for good, not wanting to see his parents or brother again. He blamed his brother James for not taking his side during many years of abuse. His only contact was with his sister Joan. The next year, in 1950, Blake appeared in an unaccredited role in The Black Rose. During this period in his life, when he was no longer a child and not yet quite an adult, parts were scarce and hard to come by. In 1951, Robert Blake managed to graduate from Hamilton High School in Los Angeles, despite his unsettled life. After graduation, Robert entered the Army and was stationed in Alaska. While there, Blake will meet and fall in love with a 16-year-old girl. Because of her age, her parents will charge him with statutory rape. A deal will be worked out between her parents and the military. Sergeant Blake will be transferred back to the States, where he'll continue his service and receive an honorable discharge. After service, Robert will return to Los Angeles and enter acting classes taught by actor Jeff Corey. Corey had been one of the actors that was blacklisted by the Un-American Activities Committee. Corey was unable to find work, so he began teaching acting classes. In 1956, the name Robert Blake was used for the first time in the credits of Rumble on the Docks with James Darren. That same year, Blake will appear with Paul Newman and Cloris Leachman in a Korean War movie, The Rack. Also in 1956, Robert was informed that his estranged father, James Gubitosi, had passed away at the trailer park he managed in Torrance, California. And in 1959, Robert turned down the role of Little Joe Cartwright on TV's Bonanza that will eventually go to Michael Landon. Fortunately, he didn't turn down a featured role in the iconic war movie Pork Chop Hill with Gregory Peck and George Peppard. His next role will be a starring role in The Purple Gang with Barry Sullivan, about the Chicago mob during the 1920s. The studio changed the names of the characters because the real names, they said, sounded too Jewish. In 1961, Blake will be one of 4 soldiers participating in a gang rape in occupied Germany in Town Without Pity. Also in 1961, Robert Blake attended a stage play and met actress Sandra Kerr. backstage. They will marry on the 25th of November that year. During their marriage, Sandra will continue to act. One of the movies that she was in was Helter Skelter in 1976 about the Manson murders. Blake will years later give credit to Sandra for helping him get off alcohol and drugs that he had a problem with all through the 60s. In 1963, Blake will appear in 15 out of 25 episodes on NBC's The Richard Boone Show. In 1965, on February the 1st, Robert and Sandra will have their first child, a boy, Noah Luther Blake. Noah will follow his father's profession and become an actor in his adult life. The next year, the Blakes will have a daughter, Delena Blake, born August 23, 1966. The next year after Delena's birth, Robert Blake will star in the movie In Cold Blood as Perry Smith, one of 3 escaped convicts depicting a real-life murder of a Kansas farm family. It'll be one of Blake's finest performances. He said he suffered from depression after this movie and required psychiatric help. 2 years after In Cold Blood, Blake will again give a star performance in what some think is his best movie, Tell Them Willie Boy Is Here, where Blake plays Willie Boy, a Native American on the run, and Robert Redford as the sheriff and Catherine Ross as Willie Boy's girlfriend. At the age of 41 in 1975, Blake returns to television in an Emmy Award-winning hit television show, Beretta. Blake plays Detective Tony Beretta, an undercover cop with the New York Police Department, with his pet cockatoo, Fred. The series will start in 1975 and end in 1978 with 82 episodes, making Blake independently wealthy. Who could forget the saying made famous by Tony Beretta, "If you can't do the time, don't do the crime." In 1983, Robert Blake was nominated for an Emmy and Golden Globe for his portrayal of Jimmy Hoffa in the TV movie Blood Feud. Cotter Smith portrayed Robert Kennedy as he investigated Jimmy Hoffa, president of the Teamsters Union, connection with the mob. The next year, on 12 September 1983, after almost 22 years of marriage, Robert and Sandra Blake divorced. The marriage had been in trouble for years. Their son Noah at the time was 18, and their daughter Delena was 17. 2 years later, on February the 28th, 1985, Robert was saddened to learn that his sister Joan, the only one that he felt close to, had passed away at the age of 52, leaving behind her husband Pete and her 2 children, Noreen and Kirk. After losing his sister Joan, Blake will become depressed and dependent on drugs again, although he will be able to write and produce Helltown for NBC. He will portray a tough-talking priest in the slums of L.A. Blake will quit the series after 16 episodes abruptly. Depression and pills will drive the actor close to suicide. He said he was out of control. Even his kids were afraid of him, and it was the worst and lowest point in his life. For the next 7 years, Blake will struggle with addiction and depression. He will seek psychiatric help. By 1993, Blake was able to earn his 3rd Emmy nomination for Judgment Day, portraying John List, a true story of a man that kills his entire family and then disappears for several years. Blake once said that he wanted the part so bad of John List that he would have done it for free. In 1995, Robert was honored by the Young Artists Foundation with a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work on the Little Rascals series, where he had started out as an extra and ended up in a lead role. That same year, he will learn that his brother James, who it was reported that he had not seen for almost 35 years, had passed away. 2 years after the death of James in 1997, Robert will end a long and distinguished acting career with his last performance in the movie Lost Highway with Bill Pullman. For the next 2 years after retiring, Blake will spend his time relaxing and listening to jazz music. also playing pool and patronizing some of his favorite restaurants. Also in 1999, he'll be visiting his favorite jazz club when he'll meet and become involved with Bonny Lee Bakley. Bonny had also been seeing Christian Brando, son of the actor Marlon Brando. Bonny began writing letters to Christian when he was in jail serving time for manslaughter. After his release, they started going together. She soon became pregnant and told Blake she was not sure who the father was. On June 2, 2000, Bonny had a daughter. She named Christian Shannon Brando and told both Blake and Brando they were their father. Blake insisted on a DNA test. When he discovered that he had a baby girl, he changed the baby's name to Rose Lenore Sophia Blake. In order to obtain custody of Rose, Robert agreed to marry Bonny. On 19 November 2000, Robert Blake married Bonny Lee Bakley at his Matahara Ranch home in Studio City, California. Blake insisted on Bonny signing a strange prenuptial agreement. She agreed to not conduct any of her business on the actor's property or while she was with the child. Bonny's business entails sending nude pictures to men through her mail order business of herself and other women and meeting them. She was not to use drugs around the child. She was not to associate with known felons while the child was around. Blake had a private investigator look into Bonny's background. He discovered that she had 3 other children, 2 with her second husband, Paul Gayron, who had the children at that time. And one time she pursued singer Jerry Lee Lewis. Bonny met and became acquainted with Lewis. She soon became pregnant with her 3rd child. She claimed that it belonged to Jerry Lee. DNA proved different. Deciding then to go to California, she left her 3rd child also with her second husband, Paul. Bonny had been married 10 times, including Blake. She was very successful in her business of relieving older men of their money. So much so that she was able to purchase several homes in and around Memphis, and one outside of Los Angeles. She had been arrested several times due to the nature of her business, and she had tried to break into show business but was unsuccessful. Bonny was living in the guest house behind Blake's main house in Studio City. On the night of May 4, 2001, Robert took Bonny to his favorite Italian restaurant, Vitello's, in Studio City, not far from his house. They sat in his favorite booth that he used as much as twice a week sometimes. Around 9:30 p.m., they left the restaurant and walked back towards the car that they had parked on a side street around the corner from the restaurant. Robert stated that he had left his gun at the restaurant and went back to retrieve it, while leaving Bonny waiting in the car. When he returned, he found Bonny had been shot. He ran for help, but it was too late. After a year of investigation, police arrested Robert Blake for the murder of Bonny Lee Bakley. Robert spent 11 months in jail without bail. Finally, on the 14th of March 2003, the court set bail at $1.5 million, which Blake could make. He had already made a $1 million bail for his bodyguard, Earl Caldwell, who had been charged as a co-conspirator. While Robert was in jail, baby Rose was being looked after by his older daughter, Delena. Within a few years, Delena, along with her husband Greg Herwitz and their daughter Natalie, will adopt Rose as theirs. They will provide Rose with love and a stable environment. After a 3-month-long trial on the 16th of March 2005, Robert Blake will be found not guilty after some 30 hours of deliberation. 8 months later, Blake will be tried in civil court for the death of Bonny Lee. He'll be found guilty and ordered to pay her children $30 million. That will later be reduced to $15 million. But in 2006, Robert files for bankruptcy. However, it's been reported that Blake settled with all 4 children, even after being granted bankruptcy relief, by giving each child $500,000 each. Since then, Blake has kept a low profile, and it's believed that he is married for the 3rd time to a longtime acquaintance and friend, Pamela Hudak. They seem happy.